Welcome back to the Proving Grounds. I'm Andrew, and today we're going to talk about police brutality, or rather the myth of this widespread, far-reaching conspiracy of police that love just to abuse everybody and shoot them, right? And part of this is an anecdote I'm going to throw in real quick. I was talking to another guy, and he's actually really smart and well-educated, and what surprised me in this conversation was the tack he took, not the ideology behind it. What I mean by that is, actually, I'll just explain it. So we're having a conversation. We're talking about rioting in relation to these protests about, excessive use of force by police. Well, he says it's completely justified. It's the healthy expression of what people do when their voices aren't heard, and it's just another form of protest. Now, obviously, my reply is no, it's not just protest. You don't have a right to violate another individual's rights because you're upset about something. You just don't. Being upset in and of itself is not a criteria that allows you to initiate force on another human being or their property. That's covered under the First Amendment as far as protest goes. You have a right to protest. Your right to protest does not extend to the point where you can violate the rights of others. And he says, well, it doesn't really matter. They're just going after politicians anyway. And if someone's store gets burnt down, it's basically just collateral damage. It doesn't matter. I'm like, no, that's not what adults in a civilized society are supposed to do. Go and burn down people's stores and steal things from them because they're upset about something. Again, if you're going to go after politicians, why are people, instead of just going there and doing their protest, trying to make their voices heard, why are you throwing rocks at cops? Why are you trying to burn up cop cars and everything? And he says, well, those cops choose to put themselves in harm's way, and it's their fault for being there and engaging in a system of oppression. Now, it's the government's job to protect you from criminals and their initiation of force on you. Okay? The government's job is to protect you from other people using violence against you to prevent you from living your life and enjoying your freedoms. The police are agents of the government whose job it is, literally their job on the front line of doing this, is to prevent criminals from harming other people. And that does include politicians. I know everyone's upset about it, but yep, even lawyers and politicians deserve to be protected from criminal activity. And again, his reply is, well, if the government is going to allow police to slaughter thousands of people, mostly black people, and brutalize everybody, well then, what else can you do? And he's pretty cavalier about this. What else can you do? Right? Obviously, it's not his neighborhood getting burnt down. And, I mean, to use terms like slaughter, it's a lot of hyperbole, but you've been hearing a lot of this in the media lately, right? Oh, black people are being slaughtered. The police just murder you. These leftist bullet points that boom, boom, boom. And then you have governors like Cuomo and you have mayors like Bill de Blasio out there saying, oh no, this rioting is just another form of protest. We support all protesters. Just throwing everyone else under the bus because we're all just sacrificial goats, right? And we can be slain on the altar of wokeness as long as, the political winds are blowing that way this year. Plus, it's an election year, so you know how that goes. So we went back and forth. I threw some numbers out there at him, and basically he just threw up the your feelings don't matter deflection card. Like it's a force field to protect him from numbers I'm throwing at him. And he says, well, that's just feelings. Feelings, these are numbers. This is Bureau of Justice Statistics. Here's a study done by Michigan State University. That's what they say. Yeah, I don't care. Basically, I don't care. Because he made up his mind, and so many people already just made up their mind on this issue. They are 100% convinced they're correct. That police are just murdering thousands of people every year. Straight up murdering people. It's mostly black people, because police just don't like black people. And there's nothing you can do to convince them otherwise, right? And they know this in their gut. Yeah, I'm the one who supposedly has this illogical, irrational, feelings-based reaction. I'm like, well, where can you prove to me any of what you're saying? He throws up a website. I go to a website. It's mapping police violence. Nothing on there shows anything that he's talking about. Wrongful deaths, any of it. It's just, yeah, about 1,000 people get shot every year by cops. Or killed by cops, I should say, since 2015. Okay, well, yeah, that tracks with Bureau of Justice statistics. 1,000 people, approximately. Usually it's been a little less. Okay, so we'll jump right into that. But there also have been 53.5 million police interactions with the general public. There's 320 plus million Americans. And the study for the Bureau of Justice Statistics, just 16 and older. So you're looking at about 260 million Americans involved. Right, so say 260 million people, 53.5 million interactions with the police, and 1,000 people die as a result of those interactions. 1,000, not 10,000, not 100,000. That's all races, not just one. That number also includes all manner of police death, whether it's considered a wrongful shoot, legally, mind you, or suicide by cop, or they pull you over and you get in a little tussle and you have an aneurysm, whatever. Now, Michigan State University did a study, and remember, Michigan State University is not exactly considered the stronghold of alt-right conservative racism or anything. So they found that the strongest predictor of what race is most likely to be shot in a given area, well, that predictor is the population of criminals in that area committing violent crime. So if it's mostly white people committing the violent crime, white people are most likely to be shot. They also found that, well, the population of a given area or a given county also determines what kind of cops you're most likely to be shot by, right? Because they found it's about the same with white cops and black cops shooting black people, right? Because why? Well, the police pull generally from the area that they're policing. So if the demographics are mostly white, you're going to have mostly white cops. If it's mostly black, you're going to have more black cops. If it's 50-50, you're going to have, a mix. Stands to reason, right? But one of the things they also found was that 90 to 95% of everyone fatally shot by police were attacking police or were attacking a third party, another civilian. And again, it's the police's job to protect civilians from other people exerting force on them. And obviously, they have a right to defend themselves. And 90% of the people killed by cops, or should say fatally shot, had weapons. Not this unarmed civilian just being gunned down by the police. And then accidental shootings are considered to be exceedingly rare. Now, one of the things that a lot of people ignore on this is, well, a lot of people that get shot by the police actually had mental health issues, and it's either one of two issues: suicide by cop, or a mental health issue like schizophrenia that ends up making them a threat to themselves or others. It ends up with them being shot. And that, in the low end, it goes from 20% all the way up to 50% by demographics. So for white people that get shot by cops, 50% of them have some kind of mental health issue. It's 20% for blacks and 30% for Hispanics. Now remember, that's mental health issues, like someone wants to die and decides to, come at a cop with a weapon just so they'll kill them, or they have some kind of mental health issue, and cops don't generally know that when they show up either. So you got a guy running around wielding a blade trying to stab everyone. Maybe that guy thinks he's killing the lizard people invasion. Well, what are you gonna do? Again, it's an ugly job that police do. And that's the thing that gets lost in all of this, is that the police have a lot of different functions that they serve, and they see people a lot of times most terrible time in their terrible day in their life, horrible situations, people being abused by their spouses, people raped, people got, had a loved one murdered, people got shot, people who are having a violent schizophrenic episode sometimes. No, not all schizophrenics are violent. That's just an example. And so just to blame police because X number of people died this year does not indicate necessarily widespread police brutality. They're not running around murdering everybody left and right. There's no evidence to even suggest that that's giant national cover-up. They're not national agencies to begin with. And to suggest that thousands of different departments from all over the country are working in concert to protect their good old boy club and being able to beat everyone up, especially by race, especially departments as diverse as New York City. Like, I don't know anyone who's black who's just like, let's just go beat down black people just because I want to be your buddy. Or I really love being in law enforcement so much. Or a firefighter or whatever. I'm willing to just give up all my convictions in life and just randomly abuse people based solely upon the color of their skin. Does it happen? I'm sure there are some individuals out there that do heinous things. Every population and every profession is going to have those people. But to just use these broad sweeping generalizations, just cops just do that. Well, how many cops? Is it 1 cop, 10 cop, 20% of cops, 2%? What's the number? And then say, well, you will never really know a true number. It's because you don't have facts. Your feelings have trumped your logic, your sense of logic. Okay, there is an objective reality. And if you can't throw any numbers out there to make me change my mind, objectively too. Not some study done by Slate, or some whack job that just said, know what I think. I just made up this number out of thin air. And no, show me an actual organization that actually has some kind of credentials, some kind of merit, some kind of scientific study that was done. And I might change my opinion on that. But just saying, basically just trying to insinuate that I'm some kind of bigot because I don't think police murder people for no reason is, that's just another way of doing an ad hominem attack on my character instead of just saying, I disagree with your numbers and here's why. Because again, when you find the statistics, police mapping police violence, it didn't show me anything that was any data that was from anywhere other than the same places everyone else got their data, and doesn't show wrongful police shoots. And I know why, because the people who are pushing these agendas, we'll just call it police violence. Well, of course, sometimes police act violently. It's part of their job. Use of force. When you go to a politician, ask for them to make a law, you're asking them to make a law. They create this law. Well, now it has to be enforced. So basically you're saying, here's an issue that we have in society. I want the government to use a gun, bang, bang, to enforce this rule. That's what you're asking. But this rule can be enforced by any means necessary up to and including taking a person's life in the most extreme cases. You don't like that, maybe that shouldn't be a law. And saying, well, because police acted violently in this instance means that they're just out to murder people is ludicrous. Violence is a part of their job. And yes, there are times when they should be violent, and times when they're not justified to be violent. But to blame them specifically on individuals' actions is ridiculous. Most cops just want to go home at the end of their shift. They want to do the right thing. They want to go home. They don't want to get shot. They want to lose their job because some politician wants to appease the mob. And you can laugh a little bit and snicker and be like, yeah, well, it's not my problem. Well, it can be your problem because this kind of ideology comes from, all these leftists saying it's okay. As long as we call someone a racist or a Nazi or a bigot or assume, make the accusation that they're abusing some kind of minority, then we can do whatever we want to them. We can silence them, deplatform them, make them lose their jobs. I know we have politicians pandering into that instead of doing their job and standing up. They're showing mostly that they're pragmatists, which we already knew. But they're showing you that they're pragmatists. Whatever the political winds say, they're just going to go with. Instead of showing, I have some convictions. No, I'm not throwing every cop under the bus because you're mad about this one instance. Because the law says this. This is what whatever state law says. And that's what we're going by. You want to change the law, we'll sit down and have a productive conversation about that. Now, like always, give me the good, the bad, the ugly. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. Have a good night.